Of course, he's a radio analyst doing some of the games on 105.7 The Fan. And with Rick Dempsey, we wanted to talk to you a little bit about today's starter, Chris Tillman. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you've seen in the time you've been around the Orioles with Chris Tillman.
Well, I've seen some good starts from Tillman, just a little bit of time. And the difference is, and you guys know this, you see it all the time, is command of the fastball for Tillman. And it seems like to me, guys, when he navigates his way through the first inning and he doesn't give up a run, it seems like he sticks his chest out, the confidence goes up a little bit, and he seems to roll pretty good. Angels have been really tough, as we know that. I mean, they've hammered the Orioles in the first inning. The balls are flying out of the ballpark, and they got 9 homers. And the Angels come in as, one of the worst home run hitting teams in the American League, but it hadn't been that way the last 2 games. But Tillman, I think, is always, when he's been good for me, when I've seen him, is he's commanding the fastball. He's getting his off-speed stuff over early in the counts and being able to do that. And he's establishing them early in the ballgame. And when he does that, it's a lot easier said than done. But when he does that, he's a good pitcher. I mean, look, we're talking about a guy that's won average 14 wins a season the last 4 years going into this year. There was no reason to think that something like this was going to happen to him. But I still think he's a really good pitcher. And I still think that he's got a lot left in the tank.
Ben, I've always said it about Chris Tillman is that, you're right about that. He has to establish his fastball already, but he also has to establish that curveball, that 12-6 curveball. Because once people get in those 2-strike situations and they think he's going to throw the curveball, that's when that fastball becomes very effective because he likes to pitch up in the strike zone. Now, when you get a catcher that comes in and says he has most of his trouble in the first inning, he always has his entire career.
Right.
What do you want to do? How do you establish that fastball? The catcher's got to move the target almost on the ground, because doesn't it make you as a pitcher say, okay, I've got to focus down. I may not hit there. I might be hitting right at the bottom of the knee now, but that's where I find my release point. Talk a little bit about his release point. How important is that for a pitcher to get to that?
I think you make a great point. I don't think many people really understand how important a catcher is to the success of a pitcher. And little things like that, like if I'm up in the zone with my fastball early, I want to see a guy like you bring that mitt, bring that target down a little bit lower for me in the strike. That will help me focus in on where I need to be. You hope that what you leave the bullpen with translates to the game mound, but from my experience, it doesn't always work. I've left that mound, the bullpen, thinking I'm going to have a great day, and I'm in the shower in the 4th inning, and I've left there thinking I'm not going to get out of the 1st, and I turn around in the 8th, and I'm still pitching. So I don't put a lot of emphasis on what I do in the bullpen, but you hope that you can get your sights down low in the bullpen and establish your fastball.
If Chris Tillman asked you for advice, what would you advise him on after watching him this year?
Man, it just looks like to me he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. He wants to do well. He said all the right things going to the bullpen. He's had 2 good bullpen outings out down there. He wants to do well. Mike Flanagan used to tell me all the time, try easier. And as a young guy, I never knew what that meant. It didn't register to me because when I got in trouble, I wanted to try harder, and that's the worst thing that you could do at this level. So I want Tillman to try easier today. That's what I want. I want him to go out and relax, try to have fun. I think good things will happen.
So you think that the reason why he got taken out of the rotation, of course, he wasn't pitching very well, out of the ball games a lot earlier, but all of a sudden he comes back out of the bullpen and he's throwing 94 again. Is throwing long in the outfield in between starts now, or after in the bullpen, does that improve that velocity that much? Can it really do it that quick?
I think so. I mean, you know this. I mean, as a starter, you always trying to save something in the tank. And I can't just go 100% every pitch as a starter because I got to have a little bit extra when I need it. As a bullpen guy, sometimes I can roll right in and I can blow my best fastballs out there. So it's hard to say if the velocity is better, but I do agree with the long toss program. I'm a big long toss guy. I love that. I think you have to stretch that arm out as a starter at least once a week and really long toss it, because if not, you get that 60-foot arm, and that's not any good. I like to really stretch it out, and I'm really big with my kids at home about playing long toss. I think it's a very important part of keeping your arm healthy, but also increasing the velocity as well.
I think that's been an issue with him so far this season, and one of the reasons why is he's throwing the ball to the glove and not through the glove.
Through the glove. Good
when
point.
you throw long, all of a sudden your capabilities really increase.
I agree.
Ben, when a pitcher gets into bad habits, can that be difficult to get out of?
Yeah, I think it can. There's a lot of technology out there now where you can go watch video. You can slow it down. You can see what you're doing different on, mechanically from a good start to a bad. So I could always tell the day after when I had bad mechanics. I was a little bit sore in different areas. I had to work a little bit differently. So I think, pitchers are fragile. We know that. It always starts physical. It ends up being mental. And we have to, and the guys like this, the catchers are the ones that come out there and put a foot in our rear end and say, it is time to go. Let's go.
No wonder my ankle hurts.
But so we got to have the catchers in it. They're so important part. And I think Caleb Joseph's going to be big today for Chris Tillman. I really do. I think those two guys work together. And I think if they can navigate through that first inning, I'm telling you, look for Tillman to work 6 or 7 innings. He'll do fine today.
The man with the Southern charm. Everybody loves him on the radio there with Joe Angel. Ben McDonald, #1 pick in '89 for the Orioles. Thanks, Ben, for stopping by.